Hey, what's going on, brethren? It's the Raw, the Real, and the Red Pill. Back at it. I want to come at a little bit of a different approach today. I've been listening to my videos, evaluating my own content, and I think I made it pretty clear on where I stand concerning my judgment against the American black woman. The last video I had posted was of a quote-unquote mentally ill BAW who had spit on a African-American, per se, officer. And he commenced to beat the shit out of her. And a brother, out of no malice whatsoever, had shared his opinion on it, expressing that she was mentally ill and she shouldn't have been beaten, and the officer should have remained professional, and so on and so on. I'm open to disagreements or agreements. Whatever someone comments, I can always respect usually where another man stands as a man in his own opinion. This is the manosphere. But it definitely did strike something in me. I don't stand down from what I believe, but I believe that I should not only express my current judgments, but actually dig a little bit deeper into my knowledge on and my understanding on why things are the way they are. And I want to focus on mental illness because to me mental illness being stated in that situation concerning that woman was more so of an excuse, and when we dig deeper into mental illness in general, we can realize that it's all pretty much engineered overall for our people to be mentally ill. We got to consider that I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper into that from an analytical standpoint. But we got to dig. We're going to look at it as a whole. When we look at America in general, this is a mentally ill country. Western science pretty much medicates everyone, and it doesn't quite fix, nor really, it partially addresses the problem, but it doesn't necessarily cure it or fix it. And we all know the first step of fixing a problem is acknowledging that problem. And I more so believe fixing a problem takes, addressing it as an individual, giving somebody Prozac or whatever these medicinal medicines are to heal these issues is not quite helping at all, because be it that the medicine isn't there, the issue remains. North America in general, whether you're black, whether you're white, is a very high rate of mental illness, and I believe it's in the culture. But being that this is an Ibmor, primarily an Ibmor channel, I want to dig deeper into the psychology of the BAW, because I do totally understand, and I honestly feel as though most of our women, I don't want to say all, because there always is an exception, though that exception is oftentimes hidden and we do not oftentimes see it. It is there, that's on good hope. But most of our women, I'm talking about 90% to 95%, modestly speaking, are mentally ill in some shape or form. So I want to get into this, and just because, and I want to make this known that there are different levels of impairment dealing with the mentally ill. There's different levels of ability to function and things of that nature. It's different levels to it. We have you have pure autism, which a lot of times come from birth. But I want to actually get into the fact that that a lot of mental illnesses are not hereditary. Because when we hear mental illness, it's an automatic pity card, and I don't think that it should be so. I do believe it's an issue that needs to be addressed. But I could even tell you like this: if there's a mentally, all jokes aside, if there's a mentally retarded child who is very lame, and he touches a hot stove and gets burnt by that stove, I'm very sure that child will understand, the repercussions of possibly doing it again. So there's still some functionality to some extent, even in the severely autistic. And we can continue with this. I'm gonna go ahead and continue. What I want to talk about is the socially engineered mental illness that the Western society pretty much proposes and imposes on pretty much all Americans through ideologies and GMOs and different products to alter the brain's chemistry. But I definitely wanted to look into it concerning the black community, because this is an Ibmor channel. So we're going to get right on into this. And I want to kind of give it a spoiler, because, it all boils down to the same issue. The same issue. And the issue really, it honestly stems from the matriarchal queendom that our society, the black society, is actually ran under. And I'm gonna expose some things, but the first thing I'm gonna talk about is poverty. And this is something that wasn't hard to find, because it's something I already knew. A lot of mental illnesses are stemmed from trauma. A lot of mental illnesses are stemmed directly from poverty. A lot of mental illnesses are not hereditary; it's induced. And here in America, in almost every which way, from what you eat to what you drink to how most children grow up under the parental advising of the parent in which they grow up under, to the mental state of that parent, to social media, the media, all this plays a role to the defilement and disorderly operations of the mind. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into this, and I'm going to start off by we're going to go ahead and get the definition for mental illness, okay? So mental illness refers to a wide range of mental health conditions, disorders that affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. Okay, it is a disorder that affects your mood, thinking, and behavior. Okay, simply put. And we're going to look at some of the systemic manipulations that cause mental illness. And most of the time, I'm talking about non-hereditary. And most of the time, which I believe is most of the case in the black community, because most of the time, I lost track of what I was saying. Let me just continue. Pardon that brain fart. I'm actually looking through things as I'm recording this, and I'm going to try to correlate the images and data that I'm referencing to and putting it into the video. So now we're going to go into black families with children living in poverty. 78%, okay, are headed by single mothers. This is the baseline. We're going to go to the beginning, and we're going to work through this so that we can have a full, complete understanding of why our community is pretty much mentally destroyed. 13% is headed by married couples, and 9% headed by single fathers. So through the basis of majority ruling, and we're just talking about poverty here because, and I'm going to make a link here, how poverty has a direct correlation to mental illnesses in our children, to where they develop into adults and conduct themselves in a certain way based on the disorder in the way they think, feminism, things like that, and they wind up getting fucked up, whether it's a woman getting, assaulted because of her behavior, you blame it on the mental illness, or a young boy, being incarcerated, from behavioral issues, and they're going to always call it a mental illness. But we're just going to go about it how Western society labels it, because it is a whole nother spiritual aspect behind it, but I'm going to try to stay, scientific, I suppose, about it. And I might incorporate a little spirituality in it. This will be a message of a lot of, it's not a milk message. This is a message of steak and potatoes, okay? So black families, like I said, with children living in poverty, 78% are headed by single mothers, 9% by single fathers, and 13% by married couples. So off the break, almost 80% of the families living below the poverty line in the black community are led by single mothers. That is a fact, okay? Based on families living below poverty level in 2013. So this is a couple years ago, and the source is the U.S. Census Bureau, 2013 ACS, okay? So we're going to go to the next statistic here. Okay, let's see. Let's get into the children to know how this affects. Oh, no. Okay, let's look at this. Poverty and mental disorders, a vicious cycle. You have violence, trauma, which causes the mental disorders of suicide, alcoholism, depression, substance abuse, child adolescent development problems, post-traumatic stress disorders, which circles back around to what? The baseline of single mother parenthood and the state of poverty that is also popular amongst the financial level and income of the single mothers. You see what I'm saying? This really gets deep. So we're going to go to another figure. Children in households with history of substance abuse, mental health condition, or incarceration by family structure, okay? And on the left, we have, with the percentage, it's the percentage of children exposed to each family problem, okay? And the blue will be drug and alcohol abuse. The yellow will be mental health condition. And the green will be parent incarcerated. With the divorced or separated mother, in other words, single mother, okay? 21% of the children are exposed to drug and alcohol abuse, and mental health condition. It's 15%. That's higher than a step family, which isn't too far behind, honestly, because we should all know. And I actually met many women personally that were sexually abused by step parents, by the stepdaddy, because that young girl didn't come from the loins of her father. You know what I mean? So he doesn't look at her as if it is a part of him. So as that girl begins to blossom, and when she begins to develop, turn into a young lady, she catches that attention of the stepfather. And these single mothers are irresponsible. They don't have no wisdom to them. They leave their children alone with these men, and it's just the truth and reality of it. My own woman, she has 4 brothers and sisters. It's 5 of them all together, and the only ones who have the same mother and father is my woman's twin sister. So her mother had, and then her mother had all her sisters and brothers except for her twin, obviously came from the same man. They all have different fathers. And they had a stepfather who was raising them. And the stepfather was perving out on, my woman as a child and her sisters. You know what I mean? And there's trauma behind that. At some periods and times, I can't even hold my woman at night. Because she used to be touched in her sleep by her stepfather. So this shit is real. And that is a mental disorder that evolved from that. So what I'm saying is some shit that I know firsthand already. You know what I mean? That's why I implement so much anger and frustration. And sometimes it goes on as a pointless ramble that it may seem like. But it's just because I affiliate with it so personally that it really frustrates me that our woman, how out of line, how out of order our communities are. So we can go married with birth parents, the drug and alcohol abuse, for the children who are in the households with 2 parents, birth parents, the parents who birthed them. The alcohol abuse is 4%, mental health condition 5%, and parent incarcerated is 2%, the lowest. It's obvious that according to the patriarchal structure, that children thrive and there's less opportunity and opening for traumatic experiences and abuse that mentally damages these children to be mentally ill and essentially be fucked up out here on these streets, man. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, you can't help how the children are bred, but when it comes to a lot of our women, because they are unled, a lot of the trauma and PTSD, and a lot of different mental illnesses, there's so many of them, is self-inflicted, but it has a root problem. So we associated, the black family living under poverty, almost 80%, 78% is with the mothers. So okay, let me look at this one. Poverty and mental illness, a vicious cycle. 80% of the global burden of disease due to mental health disorders is found in LAMIC, L-A-M-I-C. Mental disorders are associated with unemployment rates between 70 to 90%. Depression is 1.5 to 2 times more prevalent among low-income groups of population. And the lowest income group of the population is the black single mother. So it's almost directly conduit with single motherhood, man. So we're going to look at figure 2. Children receiving counseling for emotional disturbance by family type and history of mental health disorder. So we have basically an intact family and a disruptive family, a patriarch and a matriarch, essentially, a single mother and a mother and father. You know what I'm saying? So the yellow will be for the household member with mental disorder, and the blue will be no mental health disorder in the family. With the disruptive family being a single mother, 26% of the children are receiving counseling. You know what I'm saying? For a household member with mental health disorders. While 11% have no mental health disorder. But with an intact family, it's 16% that's receiving counseling for the mental health disorder, and it's 5% that have no mental health disorder in the family. So it's like choosing the two of the worst evils. Nothing's perfect. Everything's about proper balance, but you got to choose the two of the less evils. And obviously, the way that our community has been ran has been utterly destructive for the last 40 to 50 years. And it seems to still be pointed right back at the man. How can it be the man if only 9% of us have dominance and leadership over our families? Less than 9% of us, excuse me. I think it's maybe less than that. But 9% of the single fathers are in the poverty line, below the poverty line, while 78% of single mothers have kids below the poverty line. It's astronomically different. It's insane, man. So let's go into and also another form of another root cause for some mental disorders will be sleep depravity, man. There's so many different things that can, fuck with the balance in your head. And this is why a lot of these single mothers are so damn snappy. They be beating the shit out their kids, be disrespecting, emasculating their sons, and just be yelling and screaming at their daughters because these women be going on for 2-3 hours of sleep because they strong, black, and independent. They want to be mom and they want to work. You can't be both. And it's showing. You can't be both. And it's showing. Okay? So we're going to pay attention to the green line. Okay? Percentage of adults aged 18 to 64 on the left, okay? Sleeps for less than 7 hours each night. The green line is for the single parents. And we already know, according to the first statistic, over 72% of these black family households are single parented raised, and it's the single parent being the mother. I shouldn't have to say that, but I'm trying to be thorough. I'm trying to be thorough here. But about 44% of them sleep for less than 7 hours each night. About 20% of them, I say about maybe 23, 24% of them had trouble falling asleep at least four nights a week because they're stressed the fuck out. It's not healthy, man. All because they don't want to submit. All because it gotta have control. All for the case of the queendom. All rooted in pride and the lie of feminism. These bitches ain't getting no sleep. They tired out this motherfucker, man. They in poverty, under the poverty line. They ain't getting no damn sleep. They stress the fuck out. That's why a lot of these black women are mentally unsound. And there's so many mental illnesses, man. So a lot of it is induced, self-induced and self-inflicted through their own choices, man. You know, that's why I take that shit with a grain of salt. So we have, put it like this, every green line, just look at the graph. Every green line represents a single parent. We can assume that's the mother because most of the time it is over 72% the mother in these matriarch black community. And the green line skyrockets with just the shittiest rest and sleep statistics. You know, that causes mental disorders, yo. Not having no damn sleep. And then the stress of having children. So we're going to look at the living arrangements of children by race and Hispanic origin, 2015. Okay? So living with two married parents, 34% of black children. Okay? Living with two married parents. Mother only, 49%. Father only, 4%. And living with no parent, 8%. Maybe foster care, you know, in the system. And honestly, I think that's pretty modest. But it says the source is Child Trends Calculations of the U.S. Census Bureau. But, current population survey. I don't necessarily agree with this one. I think the living arrangements for children is way over 49% within the black community, but you know that's still too high, 49%. I think that was very modest how they rated that because there's many other sources that have it towards the 70%. But hey, I'm being fair here. Y'all got a modest stat right here. You know what I mean? But regardless, look at all the surrounding. Look at all the surrounding. It's like our race, it has the worst, the most abortions, the most impoverished, the most trauma, the worst in everything. And the BAW is holding the torch for that, man. She's holding the banner. She's holding the crown. But she doesn't want to own up to this shit. She doesn't want to own up to nothing negative when nothing but negativity is coming out of it. It's affecting these children. And within 10 to 15 years, these children are going to be adults. You understand? And we're seeing the trend now. The rise in homosexuality within the black community. That shit used to not be accepted. And that shit used to be deemed as a mental illness. And I think it is a mental illness because you have somebody who's born a man or a woman and they feel like they're not a man or a woman. That shit is fucking retarded by all logical means. You know? And that's just how I feel about it. But that's starting to definitely become increasing within our communities to where we're seeing it. You know? And who can you blame? Yeah, there's this whole rhetoric that, the fathers aren't there. But, you know, we already know that the divorce statistics, these men aren't just walking away. And the ones that are is because you're not allowing them to be men. You want to dominate him. It's unnatural. Every day is contention for that man. And a lot of these women literally do everything they can to run away that man so she can get her benefits from the state. Because she don't want the man. She only wants the child. We cannot deny this, man. You know, that's why I get I'm so raw with this shit because I look at it for what it is. You know? I look at it for what it is. So we're going to look at relationships of physical abuse, income, and single-parent family structure. Okay? The numbers to the left are number of children in single-parent families. Okay? So we have the green is number of children in group, and the red is physical abuse. For families that make less than $15,000 per year, single-parent, BAW, lowest octane, hood rat, benefits, can't do. I'm just saying, this is the demographic that less than $15,000 per year is. You know, it's the single mother who has a bunch of different kids by different men who don't need a man, who don't want a man, who the state is solely her man, and she does not have a man in her house. This is what I'm talking about. Look at that. 11,000. Just look at the graph. And the more income per year, the less physical abuse there is on the children. You see what I'm saying? So it's directly correlated with poverty. You know what I'm saying? Because with poverty comes trauma. You know, we need to be empowered as a people. We can't do that with this goddamn woman fucking trying to run this, man. It wasn't designed for her to run this shit. She's destroying everything, man. There's no bringing it back. And this is something that I wanted to look at. I'm just going to brief over this. This one particular mental disorder. Let's look at some psychological factors to some of these mental disorders. So we'll look at something called, we'll look at some psychological factors to some of these mental disorders. Losses, such as loss of loved ones or bereavement. I got an aunt, you know, my grandfather, my father's father died when my father was 18. I never met my granddad on my father's side. He died of stomach cancer, ulcers. You know, started as ulcers, then it spread to cancer. And my father's little sister, whom is my aunt, she lost her mind at that point. You know, she got cracked out. She's on meds, mental illness meds. You know, she don't take her meds. She'll cut you, man, and not go to jail. Just, you know, mental illness. I'm not playing. This is serious. You know, so I see it firsthand. So that loss of a loved one, I can understand that. And the bereavement, that can really make somebody snap off the deep end. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people go. I've been to a lot of funerals, so I'm pretty much desensitized to that kind of thing. But, it's understandable. You know, I can understand it, and I see the disorder, the dysfunction, and I don't believe that you should just medicate somebody. You just sit them down. And there's other ways. Therapy and things like that, where you can sit down and talk to somebody and get the shit off your chest and find out and pinpoint what the issue is and find a resolution for it, find closure to it, and be healed. Prayer, fasting, is other ways. You know, losses such as a job, that can cause alcoholism, drug abuse, and things like that. Financial losses, of course, kind of goes hand in hand with loss of a job. Failure in exam, failure in life. You know, it can bring depression. That's a mental illness. Severe poverty. We look, that's what I was talking about. Rape and defilement. My goodness, that is a big one right there within the black community, because our young girls are sexualized under the authority of their mothers. They're sexualized. You know, I constantly see them being sexualized like that increases the chances of their defilement. You understand? That's a whole nother video, man, because a woman who sleeps with a lot of men and has sex with a lot of men, they become mentally ill. They have that DNA of that man, of all the men in them. Where does that sperm go if it doesn't fertilize the egg? That life source. That source of essence of the man who she was with. Where does it all go? You know what I'm saying? What's the chimera? That's what happens. They finding out that women are retaining DNA, male DNA within them. So you have women with hundreds. I mean, a complete whore. You know what I mean? But she might have hundreds of male DNA within her. And it makes you refer back to how the father said, leave the bosom of your mother, become one flesh with your wife, you know, with your woman. A woman's only supposed to receive one man. And that's supposed to be her doctrine. That's supposed to be her the one she's supposed to bind to in one flesh and one likeness with him. But these women have the flesh and likenesses of all these different men. And it's fucking up their heads. But that's more so spiritual. But the science is starting to show that, though. You know, through the chimera, through them talking about the chimera now in science. There's some scientists are trying to act like that ain't going on. That ain't the reason. They're trying to say it's because the woman might have had a male child, so some of that male DNA from that child is in her. But they was finding all this DNA from women who didn't have children, you know, and shit like that. So, you know, but, you know, science is the westernized science go hand in hand with westernized social engineering. So they're not gonna full on give you the whole truth on shit. Some shit you kind of got to figure out on your own here with your own wisdom and discernment. But that rape and defilement is a big one, and we know that our woman, our man, is so defiled, and I think that has a lot to do. Poverty and defilement, lack of self-worth because of a lack of a father in the home to teach them their value. You know what I'm saying, man? You know, that can be. I can make a whole video on that shit. How a lot of these women who are in pornography and stripping and things of that nature, they were defiled at some point in their life, even in their youth. I met women, talked to them, and went out with women who were raped. Now I say rape with a grain of salt because some of them were just young and taken advantage of by somebody much older than them, which theoretically is rape, but you know, it's just fucked up, man. I ain't gonna break it down too much how I look at it. Regardless, you know, it fucks them up, you know. And then there are women who really are raped. You know? Pardon that. There are women who really are raped. You understand? My mother was raped by 6 men when she was about 13 years old. She was selling magazines for a fundraiser. And some guy put up in a car and convinced her that they had money in their house. And they took her in there and they ravished her. She was in the emergency room bleeding out. You know? And shit like this happens. It's fucked up. You know? You know, it's messed up, but that's definitely going on. Our women are being defiled, hypersexualized through the media, promiscuity in general, and just it's like that's the biggest weapon that the Western society tries to turn our woman out with, and that's like probably one of the starting points of mental destruction of our woman is sexualization. It is, it just is. Look at the TV. Everything is sex. You know? And then it says unemployment. Then, you know, that kind of goes hand in hand with severe poverty. Demands at home or work, or being robbed, for some examples, for psychological factors that can trigger mental illnesses. And there's so many mental illnesses. Bipolarism, where these bitches just be, you know, one day they're happy, the next day they're sad and depressed, and they're cutting themselves and shit. You know, it all starts at home, man. You know, children are like clay. You mold them. And oftentimes, I'm not gonna say often, but sometimes they break the mold. You could have did everything right as a parent, but you know, if they break that mold, then at least you did everything you could. You know, but for the most part, these children are not breaking a mold, but keeping a mold that they're systemically, as well as at home by their mothers, as well as through the media, as well as through the diet, through the high estrogen in the foods and the BPA, and just all type from every angle, attacking their minds, yo. You know, attacking their minds and normalizing things that should not be normalized. That's why you need a strong pillar in your home, and that strong pillar is a man. Patriarchy. We need to get back to that shit. And us men, you know, we don't have control over it, because essentially the white man gave this bitch the fucking power to choose. And like a child, she chooses in all selfishness and no introspect, with no reflection and no depth and no wisdom. So she chooses, but this is the damage that comes out of it, is the mental illnesses that spread like wildfire through our children and into their adulthood. You know? But let's see. We have let me just give you an example of one. And tell me if this sounds like a female you might know. There's something called BPD. It's somewhat related to bipolar disorder, but it's called the actual name of it is borderline personality disorder, yo. And this shit is very common. You know what I mean? They say it's very severe. I didn't know shit about it until I started looking into it online. But I was like, damn, a lot of these women have this illness, and they probably never. And keep in mind, all the statistics we have is people who have been, I guess, registered or been seen or of some sort. Imagine how many women is walking around here, and men who have not even been, right. And in these days, with mental illness, the society, the white man society, tell you it isn't mental illness. And the shit that isn't mental illness, they try to tell you it is a mental illness. It's backwards here, man. But the BPD symptoms. Okay, let's talk about this. Needing attention, right? Outbursts of emotion, especially anger. Not getting out of bed. Social withdrawal. Self-destructive behaviors. Being clingy. Forgetting things. Getting upset about everything. Bad self-care. Promiscuity. Weird and unusual triggers. And needing of validation, man. If that ain't our woman, man, come on, yo. And I'm gonna post this up real quick. What is borderline personality disorder? And you can just kind of look at the screen and kind of look at some of this shit. 4.5 million people in the U.S. experience BPD. About 1 to 2% of the total U.S. population. 4.5 million still ain't nothing to sleep on, but that's the people who I think get tested for it. And a lot of people don't get treated or tested. And it says the BPD stigma, the stigmas of it, selfish, difficult, manipulative, attention seeking, treatment resistant. Man, come on, man. That's like almost every woman, man, in North America, because they had all this sex, all this, promiscuity in their life, and, all this trifling behavior and shit like that, and it fucks with them, man. And, the mind, I'm going to begin to close it out, but the mind, man, is a precious thing, man. The mind is a powerful thing. It's like it's the epicenter of your consciousness. It's the creator, your mind, especially within your mind and your pineal gland, that houses your consciousness and your spirituality. That's why you get all this fluoride in your water, even in the bottled water, because they're trying to calcify that shit, man. And your toothpaste, they're trying to calcify your pineal gland, so you become subservient and easily able to be programmed. So this westernized system can destroy your mind even more, And the sad thing is, a lot of women are not awakened to this, so they fall subject unto it and don't know that they are the victims of this. We try to tell them they don't want to hear this shit. I heard it was given, I should look into it. It was given during the so-called Jewish Holocaust with the so-called Jews, which was ironically funded by the so-called Jews. But that was to create a Zionist state. We know this. But they were giving them fluoride. It makes you more subservient. It weakens your mind, man. It eliminates your ability to self-think. It's rat poison. It's just fucked up for you, man. Period. And look what they're doing in Detroit Flint. You know what I'm saying? They poisoning us, man, to destroy our minds. When you cut on BET, what do you see? I don't let my daughter watch certain shit, man, because I don't want to destroy her mind. Her mother will openly let her watch it if I'm not home, though. You know what I'm saying? Because she doesn't know. These women can't think, man. They ought to be led. They don't know no better. They don't know. You can't see. A man thinks in leaps and bounds to the baseline and to the bottom line in leaps and bounds, looking beyond the horizon as far as he can see. A woman sees one step at a time. She cannot see collectively. She cannot see. All she perceives is the one step, what's right in front of her, and how it makes her feel. But this is my little constructed rant, I guess. Apologize for that random ass phone call in the middle of this shit. Fuck my video all up. I'm gonna post it anyway. Hey, it's raw content. But just try to hit this shit from an analytical for more of an analytical aspect. Sorry, I'm a little slow right now. I'm getting off of work. Been up since about 2 this morning. It's 8:09 p.m. now. You know, still sitting in my car. Just getting off. But hopefully you enjoy some of this. We can get some insight on the mental, depravity of our people, especially our woman, and where it's rooted from, and like I said, I take it with a grain of salt, because in a lot of different ways, Western science, according to Western science, almost everyone's mentally ill here. I'm just keeping it real. Not everyone, but they can say you are. But that shit is with a grain of salt, man. So I'm not gonna pity a bitch who's smart enough to talk, who's smart enough to feed herself, who's smart enough to, spit in another man's face knowingly on what they're doing, mentally ill or not, and she get this dog shit smacked out of her. I can't pity that. And mentally ill ain't no trump card for me. That's not a cut card or none of that. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what spawned this video. A brother had brought that to my attention, but I do understand, you know what I mean? But what can we really do about it? But go our own way. Step off in the manosphere and think about this type of stuff, because they're not thinking about this shit. They're thinking about twerking and fighting in the club and being BAWs, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the content, 'cause I know I enjoy some more. I know I enjoy analytical content time to time. I listen to like BGS Ibmor, definitely a doctor in my book concerning things of this nature. Jason Black, the Black Authority. I be looking at my videos and I be like, damn, I just be kirking. Maybe I need to bring some more, knowledge and true introspection to this, man, to support my baseline and how I feel, But thanks for tuning into the Raw, the Real, the Red Pill, and I'll be uploading something else in due time. Y'all be easy. Shalom.